Most strange stories begin with something ordinary. A sound, a place, a detail so small that no one questions it at first. Mel's hole begins the same way. On a quiet piece of land along the Matastache Ridge, west of Ellensburg, Washington, there was a hole in the ground. At first glance, it looked like an old well. Nothing dramatic, nothing supernatural. Just a hole that had been there for as long as anyone could remember. Like the previous owners, Mel Waters used the hole as a convenient place to dump trash. Old appliances, broken tools, tires, garbage, anything that needed to disappear went into the darkness. His neighbors used it too. For years, everything went down the hole, and no one thought much about it. Until one day, Mel asked a simple question that would eventually spiral into one of the most unsettling modern legends ever told. Why doesn't it fill up? No matter how much trash went in, the hole never showed signs of filling. There was no echo when objects were dropped. No sound of impact. No splash. No confirmation that anything ever reached the bottom. And slowly, Mel began to notice other things that didn't make sense. His dogs refused to go near it. Even when pulled toward the opening, they would dig their paws into the dirt and resist with panic. Wildlife avoided the area entirely. No insects, no small animals. Even birds seemed to fly around it instead of over it. And whenever Mel brought a radio close to the hole, the signal would distort, break up, or shift entirely, as if the hole itself was interfering with reality. Curiosity turned into obsession. Mel decided to measure it. As an avid fisherman, he had access to fishing line reels. He attached a 1-pound weight and began lowering it into the hole. 4,500 feet passed. The entire spool emptied. No bottom. He pulled the line back up, attached a roll of Lifesavers candy, and sent it down again, hoping to see if water dissolved them. When they came back up, they were completely dry. Spool after spool followed. 5,000 feet, 10,000 feet, 20,000, 50,000. Eventually, Mel ran out of line at nearly 80,000 feet over, 15 miles deep. Still no bottom, no sound, no resistance. At this point, the hole had already crossed from strange to impossible. Geologically, a hole of that depth should collapse under its own weight. The pressure alone would make such a structure unstable. Yet the hole remained unchanged, perfectly round, silent, endless. Then came the story that shifted everything from weird to disturbing. A neighbor casually mentioned that his dog had died. Instead of burying it, he threw the body into the hole. Days later, the dog returned, alive, wearing the same collar. But something was wrong. It didn't recognize its owner. It didn't respond. It behaved like a copy, not the original. The same shape, the same appearance, but empty. Whether this story was true or exaggerated, it marked the moment Mel realized he needed help. Not from local authorities, not from scientists, but from people who took strange things seriously. In 1997, there was only one place for that. Coast to Coast AM, hosted by Art Bell. Art Bell's audience numbered in the millions. If anyone had ideas, theories, or explanations, it would be them. Mel contacted Art, and on February 21, 1997, the story of Mel's hole went public. The response was immediate. Listeners suggested lasers, radar, seismic tools. Some believed the hole sat on a ley line. Others believed it was a time portal, a dimensional rift, or an entrance to the hollow earth. Theories flooded in, but with attention came consequences. The day after the broadcast, Mel returned to his property to find the access road blocked, armed personnel, helicopters overhead, heavy machinery marks in the soil. He was told there had been a plane crash on his land, though no wreckage existed. When Mel pressed further, a man in civilian clothing warned him that ownership of land could be flexible. Drug labs could be found if necessary. Talk to the press if you want, the man said. Nobody will believe you. But Art Bell believed him, and so did millions of listeners. In follow-up calls, Mel described more anomalies. Radios picking up broadcasts from the past. One moment tuning into music, the next into a baseball game that later turned out to have been played in 1967, 30 years earlier. The signal didn't just shift location, it shifted time. A neighbor reported seeing a dark beam rise from the hole into the clouds. Darker than shadow, darker than night. Mel himself didn't witness it, but callers pointed out that the region was already known for UFO sightings and unexplained disappearances. Then Mel disappeared. 3 years passed before he resurfaced. When he did, the story became even more unsettling. He claimed he had been offered $3 million a year to lease his property under one condition. He had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, leave the country immediately, and never return. Mel accepted and lived in Australia for 2 years. But when he returned to the United States to visit family, everything went wrong. He agreed to return to the radio show. He never showed up. According to Mel, he was on a bus when police boarded it after an altercation. Passengers were questioned. Then Mel blacked out. When he woke up, he was in an alley in San Francisco. 12 days had passed. His wallet was gone. His keys were missing. His arm had needle marks. His back teeth were gone. Soon after, legal action stripped him of his property. Charges were filed for construction. He never did power lines, roads, septic systems. His bank account was emptied. The land was gone. And then came the second hole. Mel claimed a Native American group contacted him and brought him to Nevada to see another bottomless hole. This one was different. It had a metal collar. It was warm to the touch. Sound didn't travel on its surface. Objects made no noise when dropped against the metal lining. Experiments followed. Ice lowered into the hole sometimes returned unchanged. Other times it transformed. One piece caught fire and burned for months without melting. A sheep lowered into the hole returned dead, cooked from the inside. Inside its body was a massive tumor. Inside the tumor was something else entirely, a seal-like creature with human eyes. After this encounter, Mel, previously diagnosed with terminal cancer, claimed he was cured. At this point, the story crossed a line for many listeners. Some called it pure fiction. Others believed Mel had simply lost control of the narrative. Yet one thing remained consistent. Mel never tried to profit from the story. No books, no merchandise, no paid appearances. And then one final promise. Mel agreed to return with recordings, photos, and proof. He never did. He was never heard from again. So what are we left with? No confirmed location. No physical evidence. A story that escalates beyond reason. And yet, details that are strangely consistent. Military activity confirmed by independent visitors. Mapping anomalies. A timeline that predates certain technologies Mel couldn't have predicted. Mel's hole has never been found. But the idea of it refuses to disappear. Maybe it was a hoax. Maybe it was a psychological spiral. Maybe it was something far stranger. A natural anomaly. A classified site. Or something we don't yet have language for. Urban legends survive because they tap into something deeper than facts. They expose our discomfort with uncertainty. They remind us that not everything fits neatly into explanation. And sometimes, the scariest part isn't what's at the bottom of the hole. It's the possibility that we were never meant to know. If stories like this make you question reality instead of accepting easy answers, you're in the right place. Leave a comment with what you think Mel's hole really was. And if you want more deep dives like this, make sure you're subscribed. Because some mysteries don't fade. They wait